These two pocket watches are survivors from the American Civil War. Both were made by the American Waltham Watch Company in Waltham, Massachusetts. Both are Wm Ellery grade pocket watches, and both were made during the year 1864, in the final full year of the American Civil War. Today, this kind of pocket watch is often called a soldier's watch. Not every surviving Wm Ellery watch was carried by a Civil War soldier. However, these watches were heavily advertised to soldiers, and they became closely associated with military life during the war. Waltham offered the Wm Ellery as an affordable American-made watch for men who needed a reliable timepiece, but could not afford one of the company's higher-grade movements. These watches were advertised in newspapers. They were also sold by traveling salesmen, dealers, and sutlers near military camps, posts, and field encampments. For a soldier, a watch was more than a luxury. Military life is heavily regimented, and time-governed reveille, drill, guard duty, marches, train departures, meals, and assembly. A dependable pocket watch could help a soldier stay on top of a demanding schedule. It could also be a valued personal possession, something useful, familiar, and close at hand during a time of uncertainty. The Wm Ellery was one of Waltham's less expensive watch grades. It was a practical, American-made lever watch, designed to compete with lower-priced imported watches from England and Switzerland. It was named for Wm Ellery of Rhode Island, one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence. Most Wm Ellery movements had 7 jewels. Some were made with 11 jewels. The jewel count refers to small, hard-bearing jewels used at important points in the movement. These jewels reduce friction and wear where the pivots of the moving parts turn. A 7-jewel Wm Ellery was a good, serviceable watch. The 11-jewel version added jewels at additional points in the movement and represented a small improvement over the standard 7-jewel model. Both of the watches use a key to tighten the mainspring and move the hands in order to set the time. This was normal pocket watch technology in 1864. The owner had to keep track of the small key, because without it, the watch could not be used. My first soldier's watch was made in February 1864. It has an 11-jewel movement and is housed in a coin-silver hunting case. A hunting case has a hinged front cover that closes over the dial and crystal. This cover protects the watch from dust, impact, and the ordinary hazards of being carried in a pocket. The dial has Roman numerals, a subsidiary seconds dial at 6 o'clock, and the simple, clean appearance that many collectors associate with Waltham watches of the Civil War era. The case is made of coin silver. This doesn't mean that silver coins were melted to make the case. It simply indicates the case was made using the same silver alloy content found in American coins during the 19th century. It remains in working order today, more than 160 years after it was made. My second soldier's watch was made September 1864. It has a 7-jewel movement, which was the more typical jewel count for a Wm Ellery watch. Like the first watch, it needs a key to tighten the mainspring and set the time. This watch is also housed in a coin-silver hunting case, but this case is much more substantial than the average case found on a Wm Ellery soldier's watch. The case weighs approximately 6 ounces, which is unusually heavy for this type of watch. Most soldiers' watches were placed in lighter, less expensive cases. But this example shows that a basic Wm Ellery movement could also be placed in a much heavier and more valuable coin-silver case. This watch, like the first one, remains in working order today. It is useful to consider the cost of these watches in terms of a Civil War soldier's pay. A 7-jewel Wm Ellery movement in a 2-ounce coin silver hunting case cost $26. An 11-jewel version in the same type of coin silver hunting case cost $1.50 more. These were economical watches by Waltham standards, but they were not inexpensive for an enlisted man. In 1864, a Union private earned $16 per month. A 7-jewel Wm Ellery costing $26 represented nearly 2 full months of a private's pay. So, while Waltham advertised the Wm Ellery as an affordable watch, it was still a meaningful purchase. Why did these watches matter? Both timepieces were produced during a pivotal year of the Civil War. In 1864, Union and Confederate armies fought through brutal campaigns in Virginia, Georgia, and elsewhere across the country. Soldiers endured long marches, difficult weather, illness, separation from home, and the constant danger of battle. In that setting, a pocket watch was a practical item. But it could also be something more personal. It was carried close to the body. It marked the passing hours, and it may have reminded its owner of normal life beyond the army camp and battlefield. These watches are factory-made products, and many Wm Ellery watches survive today. But every individual example has its own history. Each case tells a story through its wear, dents, engravings, repairs, and handling over generations. Every movement reflects the workmanship of the Waltham factory and the careful service that may have kept it running long after the Civil War ended. Without documented provenance, we cannot say with certainty that either of these particular watches was carried by a Civil War soldier. But we can say that they are authentic Civil War-era Waltham Wm Ellery watches. They were made during the war. They were part of a watch grade specifically promoted to soldiers, and they represent an important chapter in the history of American watchmaking. More than 160 years after they left the Waltham factory, these two pocket watches continue to measure time and to preserve a tangible connection to an important period in our country's history. Thank you for watching and liking this video.